Welcome back to Big Boys College Football. My name's Gavin,
And I'm Grant.
and we are going to talk about Week 1 and how that went. And we're going to talk about Week 2 and a preview for that. And we've got a lot coming, so stay tuned.
And ignore the giant AC-130 flying around
Yeah.
behind us.
We're currently live from the rooftop in our layer chairs.
Exactly. Exactly. So do you want to start off with our little bit of Friday night?
Yeah.
So why don't you go first? So, had a couple of big games Friday night. Baylor and Auburn, and then Georgia Tech and Colorado.
Yeah.
You want to start off with Baylor?
Yeah. Baylor game, I feel like I had Baylor winning that just because I don't have much faith in Auburn, but Auburn looked pretty good. They might beat Alabama this year. I think that
We'll get
I
to
think
that
that's
later
the
on.
case, yeah. But I'm not 100% sold on Auburn because it's Auburn, but they did pretty well.
Yeah, I was frankly surprised. Auburn, a school that's notorious for choking, didn't. They won by 2 touchdowns, which was a pretty good surprise. Was their defense as strong as it needed to be? I don't know. They still allowed 24 points on, but their offense looked great. Even with Eric Singleton Jr. getting hurt during the week before, they still looked good. They weren't afraid to run the ball. They pushed that quarterback and made him run a lot as well. But overall, they looked good and they looked physical. Something we hadn't seen from Auburn in a while. And, Hugh Freeze has blamed their former quarterback for a lot of the team's faults. And at this point, I'm questioning whether he might have been right. I've given him a hard time for that a lot in the past. But maybe there's a chance he was right at the end of the day.
Yeah, for sure. I think they're right on the edge of being top 25 right now. I think they probably deserve it more than Alabama at this point. But yeah, let's get into that Georgia Tech game because that was the real thriller of Friday night.
Man, and what a game that was. 3 turnovers Georgia Tech
Yeah.
had during the first quarter, back to back to back. Normally when a team has that kind of issues in the start, you don't expect them to win the game.
Oh,
You expect them to get blown out by 20 points potentially, but that's not what happened.
Mm-hmm.
Georgia Tech was in it the entire game. Although those mistakes were made, Colorado only scored on one of those 3 drives, which I think says something about Blake Gideon's defense coming over from Texas. I think it was pretty impressive what he was able to do, keeping Colorado at bay and Deion Sanders at bay. I think Deion probably could have actually come and won that game, or at least tied up in the end if he actually would have used those timeouts instead of burning the clock maybe. But it was an impressive feat by Georgia Tech to come back and be able to defeat Colorado after such tragic mistakes. I think Georgia Tech's got a lot of good possibilities. I think they got a lot of good potential. But if they make these kind of mistakes when they go further down their schedule and play a team like Clemson or even Duke and Virginia Tech, it could cost them.
Yeah.
And avoiding those mistakes can be the difference between a team that makes the playoffs or makes Charlotte go into ACC title, one that doesn't.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, and I think they're kind of right where Auburn's positioning is, where they're barely outside of the top 25. I think they're better than Auburn, but I think they're getting super close right there. And
I agree.
I think if anything happens this week, they should be in the top 25 because they really did. The first 3 drives were very ugly, and I was getting nervous about that. I was like, man, is this Georgia Tech team all that we were hoping and talking about? But they really showed out, and especially in those last few moments, they really did.
I agree. I think Colorado looked good as well, though. I think their defense looked strong. I think there was a lot of questions of if Colorado's going to be a complete husk of themselves after losing Shador and Travis Hunter. But I was happy to see that Colorado was competitive throughout the game
Yeah.
as well.
Mhm.
Again, I think that could have been either of the team's game. But Georgia Tech ended up peeking it out by a touchdown. So I was fairly impressed by it.
Oh yeah.
So I guess next we move on to Saturday. I mean, where do you
Saturday.
start there?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Man, Saturday was a great day for college football. We'll give our props to Lee Corso, legend. Happy retirement.
Happy retirement indeed.
Man, it was a great show. Definitely would watch that over big noon kickoff.
Any day of the week.
Yeah, and I guess we go right into Ohio State, Texas, which was a lot.
A lot and nothing all at the same
Yeah,
time.
I feel like it was a lot of. It was less scoring than I thought I would see.
It's truly a defensive shootout.
It was
wasn't
really a defensive shootout. I liked Julian Sayin looked really good. He for his first start at Ohio State, he looked pretty good. I was very underwhelmed with Arch Manning. I feel like Arch Manning. I felt it before that he wasn't going to live up to number one in the Heisman poll hype. There's still time to improve. Obviously, it's week one.
And this was his first game
Yeah.
starting, really.
I think it goes more on Sarkisian than it does Manning.
I agree. And there was some play calling questions on offense, I think, for Texas that I didn't necessarily agree with watching that game. But again, it's week one. And I think the amount of pressure put on Arch was probably a little overwhelming from fans. Because you listen to Arch in his interviews, the very few that he's given, and he's pretty calm and collected and quiet and not boastful.
Yeah.
But the expectations of the world are heavy on that young kid. And overall, I didn't think he did bad. But I don't think he was lighting the world on fire like everybody said he was going to. He was going against arguably a top 3, maybe 5 defense in the country in Ohio State, depending on how you look at it. And I think to be able to put up a touchdown at all and, not turn over the ball, at least I don't think he did. He might have once. But have pretty good control of dealing with that Texas defense. It's the first game coming out is pretty impressive for any freshman quarterback. Both of the quarterbacks, I think, deserve props in that sense of. They're playing. Either team was playing one of the top defenses in the country, probably top 5 on most standards. So I was impressed by both teams defensively. A little underwhelmed offensively, but I think that's just because of how good the defense was actually.
Yeah, for sure. It was a very good game, but what else do we have for noon?
Next game is Syracuse, Tennessee.
Tennessee, and Syracuse did about exactly what I thought they would. They looked a little stronger than I thought they would, just because they lost so much. They lost Kyle McCord.
They lost all 4 of their receivers.
Yeah, and you're really rebuilding your team, and I think Tennessee losing their quarterback. They're still Tennessee.
And they still have the rest of powerhouse staff. Fran Brown really did a good job last year coming into the portal, pulling some good guys. But the production isn't there. I don't think Syracuse lost that game because of poor coaching decisions. I think they truly lost because they just got out-talented at the end of the day. That's really the truth of it. It was truthfully getting out-talented. I think Tennessee looks better than I expected them to as well. I think that should be said. But it's a team we'll have to see when they come up playing Georgia in 2 weeks. That'll be the real test of Tennessee.
I'm really looking forward to seeing that.
Next one's the biggest shocker of the weekend.
Alabama, Florida State.
I don't even know where to start here.
Man. Jeez.
A team that was 2-10 last year failed to make a bowl game, lost a lot of their production that they did have, went into the transfer portal, took a quarterback from Boston College who was benched halfway through the season. If I were to describe that team to you, you would either say, all right, this is either Stanford or Florida State. And in no world would you think either of those teams could come out week one and beat somebody as dominant as Alabama has been historically.
Yeah. Man.
But this isn't Nick Saban's Alabama anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I was right when saying I don't believe Alabama deserves a rank next to their name after that performance.
This man was right. Where did they fall to? Did they
21.
21, and you had them at 23. So
Yeah.
you pretty much hit the nail on. That was the one that like really shocked me, was Alabama being at 23 on his list. But this man was right.
Florida State was impressive, don't get me wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think it was as much that Florida State won that game as Alabama lost that game. I mean,
Yeah.
there was reports of players out getting DoorDash and possibly drinking as late as 2 or 3 in the morning on the Alabama side, thinking that, oh, we're going in to play a 2-10 team, and then getting their asses absolutely handed to them at the end of the day. I mean, that's what happened. I mean, they came in thinking this was going to be an easy win and got an ass kicking.
Mm-hmm. And it makes the rest of Florida State's schedule look just now you've got that game circled. Like if you're Miami, it's not only a rivalry game. Now you're playing a ranked opponent. If they keep up the production that they had, that they showed against Alabama, that's going to be a crazy game in October. They've got Clemson on the schedule. That's going to be something to look out for. But the state of Florida is back. It hasn't. I can't remember the statistic that I saw earlier, but Miami.
All but one Florida team won.
Yeah.
Week one.
And Miami, Florida State, and Florida haven't been this high ranked since like the early 2000s altogether. So this is great for them. This is great for the state of Florida because the state of Florida's been a poaching ground.
And even look at G5 schools. I mean, South Florida went out and beat
Yes.
Boise State, which is something we haven't really talked about.
Mhm.
But I mean,
That was Thursday night, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
we kind of started a little ahead of that. But
Mhm.
again, a game that might have slipped under a lot of people's radars, and rightfully so. I didn't even
Mhm.
watch that game
Yeah.
because I wasn't. I mean, everybody expected Boise State to dominate. It wasn't
Mhm.
a game that many people thought to watch.
Yeah.
And South Florida comes out and absolutely kills them.
And now you've got South Florida plays at the Swamp, and then at Hard Rock the next week.
What a
So
hard schedule.
They've got 2 hard games, but if they were to win out the rest of their schedule,
They could be our G5 playoff
yeah.
contender.
if they win out the rest of their schedule, and I'd say if they beat either Miami or Florida, they would be a lock for the playoffs.
I agree.
Oh yeah.
I agree. It'll be an interesting team to watch.
Mm-hmm.
The next real big game is the one that was another, again, big defensive shootout. LSU and Clemson. That was probably, out of all the football games I've watched, some of the most egregious refereeing I've seen in a college football game.
Mhm.
The fact that LSU had that touchdown overturned is mind-boggling to me.
Yeah.
Every analyst I've seen says that was a catch. I don't see how it wasn't a catch. But the referees disagree with me. And this game could have been a much higher margin than it was. It could have been a 2-score game versus a 1-score game. I really do believe that. Kay Klubnik, I think, was a bit underwhelming. Which gives me hope as a Georgia Tech fan that we come in there and are able to beat them. They ran a total of 8 times the entire game, which I get LSU's got a good run defense, but if all you do is throw the ball, then they know what you're going to do every time.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no element of surprise. You have to be able to mix it up. again, another heavy defensive shootout. I think LSU surprised me.
Yeah. They finally got their opening win after it's been like 5 years.
I think
Just
it's more than that. Yeah.
But just straight losing the week 1 matchup, you finally got it, and it was in Death Valley, just not your Death Valley. Yeah.
It was an impressive win.
I think Clemson will be okay, though. I think once they get into the swing of things, I think they
have a tough schedule. I think they have Miami and SMU and Georgia Tech.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll look at the double check, but that's I have them losing at least 2 of those. So you got Georgia Tech, SMU,
Florida State,
South Carolina. So you don't have Miami.
Yeah, but South Carolina's great.
South Carolina's been good. Even Louisville and Duke are on here too.
Mm-hmm.
I have them losing 2 of these. I don't know if it's Georgia Tech and SMU or Florida State and SMU, but I think they'll probably there's a good chance SMU comes and surprises us, like they did last year. And comes for a little bit of a revenge game on Clemson.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that this was kind of a slip up, and I think Klubnik's still one of the best quarterbacks in the nation. I think Dabo's still one of the best coaches, and I think once the gears start turning, like you saw Notre Dame lose to Northern Illinois last year, and then they make it all the way to the championship. I think there's potential for that for Clemson to take a hard loss. I could see them dropping another 1 or 2, but I think they'll probably.
They gotta drop at least 1 more. A conference game.
Yeah.
I think they might drop South Carolina too.
Yeah. I think that they have the potential to still make the playoff.
I don't disagree.
Yeah.
I don't disagree. The ACC's going to eat itself up a lot too.
Yeah. ACC is going to be like SEC most years, where they just, or at least last year, where they were just shooting each other
every single time.
Yeah.
Every single time. And the last 2 games, there's not really any more games for Saturday, but Sunday we do have some games, which was Virginia Tech, South Carolina, and Catholics v. Convicts.
Catholics v. Convicts. Listen, Notre Dame fans, and it's not the younger Notre Dame fans, but it's the older Notre Dame fans. Y'all need to stop being racist on Twitter. Y'all are, I mean, you talk about this. You're the same people that talk about, the Southeast being racist or whatnot, but y'all were crazy on Twitter before that game, and I think Miami really did show out in that game.
And this was probably one of the 3 times a year Hard Rock's actually going to be rocking for Miami.
Yeah.
But I do agree completely. Carson Beck was so surprising to me.
Mm-hmm.
Not the Carson Beck we saw at Georgia.
Yeah. Oh.
I mean, night and day difference.
It was. I really hope he doesn't have his bipolar ways where he'll be that quarterback where you're like, okay, that's why people think you're elite, and then the next game he has a game like Ole Miss last year where he was just terrible.
4 or 5 interceptions.
Yeah.
Right.
I really hope that he can keep consistent. He's talking about how this team made him love playing football again, and I really hope that's the case.
And Miami's defense was fantastic.
Oh my gosh. We were at Georgia Tech Miami last year, and that Miami defense made me want to pull out my hair. Every time I watched them last year, it was just
Haynes King.
Yeah.
Went and obliterated that defense when he couldn't throw the ball.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They knew a run play was coming because they'd send Haynes King out and pull Aaron Philo, the backup quarterback, back. So they knew he could either run the ball, he could hand off the ball, or he could do a pitch, which, I mean, is essentially run the ball again, right? I mean, fundamentally, it's the same practice. And they still couldn't stop Haynes King.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think that's the case anymore. I think if Miami were to play Georgia Tech today, they would beat Georgia Tech. I really do believe that. And that's coming from somebody who watched them lose to Georgia Tech 2 years in a row.
Yeah.
Now, that's saying Georgia Tech today and Miami today, based off the very small sample size we've seen both teams play. But it will be interesting. I think both of those teams have a chance to go to the ACC championship.
Oh yeah. I was so happy to see that defense finally coming together. And I also think Notre Dame's a team kind of like Clemson, where they looked kind of uncoordinated there, which is weird because they had a lot of people come back.
The quarterback.
Yeah, and they kept showing the quarterback's mom and stuff, and I get the story thing, and that last drive I was like, oh no, here we go. He's gonna throw a touchdown. They're gonna show his mom, and it's gonna be this moment. But thank God for your poor clock management. But that's that was what saved us from that. But yeah, and also every time I would turn my TV up or switch sound to the Texas Ohio State game, they kept talking about how these are SEC officials, by the way. Okay, they mentioned it like
it's a lot.
They probably mentioned it 10 times. Anytime there was a replay, this is a SEC replay thing. Oh my God, it was annoying.
And then Virginia Tech, South Carolina. I have a hot take on this, and that's Virginia Tech looked like an elite football team most of this game until they got in the red zone. And Virginia Tech scored 0 touchdowns and put up 11 points. That's hard to do.
Yeah.
That's hard to do.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how it was done, but they managed to do it. South Carolina dominated them.
Yeah.
End of story.
Mm-hmm.
End of story.
So,
I don't really have much more on that.
yeah, me either. You said it. I didn't think Virginia Tech was going to do as good as they did, but they really showed out, and I think they could potentially be one of those teams to look out for an upset maybe this year.
For sure.
All right, now we're going to talk about Monday night, and it wasn't the biggest surprise, but what's your nickname for him?
Blue Chew Bill.
Blue Chew Bill. That was, you are, Bill Belichick, UNC is going to be the equivalent of Urban Meyer at Jacksonville Jaguars, because that was crazy.
I actually have a piece of advice for UNC, and as a Georgia Tech fan, I can't believe I'm saying this. You fired Jeff Collins as your defensive coordinator. It might be time to bring him back.
Yeah.
You might even bring him back as his head coach, because I don't think it get worse than that. I think Jeff Collins would actually be an improvement.
Oh yeah.
And that's almost impossible to say. Jeff Collins was terrible. Don't get me wrong. But the performance of that game was the worst I've ever seen. If TCU wanted to, they could have ran up 60 points if they would. They essentially put their secondaries in at halftime.
Yeah.
And they were doing trick plays like shovel passes to see just what they could do. They had 2 different scoop and scores. 2 different. TCU did. It was an embarrassment. I really think TCU probably could have set a record for opening week score if they would have kept their primaries in. I think they probably could have hit 70-something points.
Oh yeah, it would have been Georgia in a bowl game type of explosion, dude.
Yeah, I think TCU might have been getting a little revenge out for what Georgia did to them.
Yeah.
In the national title several years back, but this is a team where if TCU continues doing what they're doing as well, they deserve a rank next to their name. They've got a hard schedule, but I could see TCU actually being our Big 12 pick. Not to say that gives UNC any kind of excuse. I wouldn't be surprised, and we'll get into next week's predictions. UNC goes to Charlotte, or Charlotte comes to UNC. I wouldn't be surprised if they lose that game. I wouldn't be surprised if UNC struggles to make a bowl game this year. I really wouldn't.
Yeah.
And they play Wake, which I think, it's another game we didn't really talk about, but Wake Forest almost losing to KSU. Literally the worst team in the country last year, 9-10. But, I think there's a chance UNC's right down there at the bottom of the
Oh, yeah.
country. Definitely bottom 3 in the conference between Wake, UNC, and Stanford. I think I'd actually take Stanford over UNC at this point, though, based off the performance I just saw.
Yeah, that was so rough.
It was horrific.
Yeah, and I just don't know what to say to UNC. I feel
Fire
bad
Bill
for
Belichick.
you. You've always been kind of fire Bill Belichick at this point, because I mean he's only going to last a couple more games probably, and then he's out. I feel bad for you guys because you're like Kentucky where you try to build up a football team and it just never works out.
Well, he tried to take a shortcut. I think that's what he did. Instead of going and pulling some guy from the G5, that's a good head coach or a good coordinator. They were like, let's hire Bill Belichick.
Yeah, and that was really out of nowhere. Just, we're going to hire Bill Belichick and he's going to solve all our problems, but
They've regressed.
Yeah.
They've regressed even further. And, hey, all your dreams of going to the SEC, gone, don't exist anymore.
Yeah.
Frankly, no way this team goes to SEC. You think that was bad? Wait until even like a Vanderbilt gets a hold of you, and you would have gotten smacked around by them too. I don't know of any team in the SEC that wouldn't have smacked them around. Maybe like a Kentucky, like you're saying, somebody closer to that bottom of the barrel, but this UNC doesn't deserve to be in the ACC, just as Stanford, Wake Forest don't. But again, that's a conversation for another time.
My condolences to UNC fans, but to the football team, you did it to yourself. That was so rough. But yeah, let's
ready to get into
on
this?
that note. Let's get into this week 2 action. I
two.
say action. There might not be that much action this weekend, but
There'll be a tiny bit,
There'll be
a
a-
sprinkling, one might say. First game of the week is Illinois Duke, and this is at Duke. Duke's a pretty decent team. Manny Diaz is a pretty decent coach. I know he struggled first half against Elon this past week, but they came back and won pretty well. I think by like 30-something points. Illinois got a lot of firepower. Illinois is projected to be one of the best teams in college football, ranked at currently number 11. I wouldn't be surprised if Duke's able to come out and upset them, but I think Illinois should have this one in the bag.
Yeah, I think so too. I think Illinois is my pick as well. I think they're just too far ahead of what Duke is at right now.
Yeah, I agree completely. And there's really not much to say about this game. It's a non-conference game. The stakes are pretty low for Duke and pretty high for Illinois, but again, this is one that I think Illinois should be able to easily cover. Next, we have one of the more interesting games on Fox that I'm more interested about is Iowa State. In-state rivalries are always fun to watch.
Yeah.
Big 10 versus Big 12. Iowa's a school that has been more quiet during the offseason, but has done some pretty heavy lifting, bringing in, a pretty great quarterback, all things considered. Iowa's always been good defensively, but struggled on offense. This could be the asset they needed to be good offensively. And I'm not sure who I have on this one. I think it could really go either way. I'd probably pick Iowa State just because they're at home. But I really think either team could secure this one.
Yeah. I feel like I'd go Iowa State as well, just because they really, we've gotten to see 2 games from them. They've looked solid, and
For sure.
we really don't know what we're getting from Iowa yet. And yeah, I feel like Iowa State would be the more secure pick for this one.
I agree. At the same time, we also have Baylor playing SMU, another in-state rivalry just down the road from each other. 2 teams that are. Baylor had big off-season's expectations, lost Auburn, might have shared that. SMU undefeated last year until their loss to Clemson, and then subsequent loss in the first round of the playoffs. SMU's ranked 17th. Baylor is unranked. This is at SMU, so again, SMU would be my pick. But Baylor could come out of this with a desire for revenge. It's a rivalry game. It's in Dallas. You don't know what's going to happen for sure. But I like SMU for this one as well. I have SMU being the number 3 team in the ACC. So I feel like they would probably be my pick on this as well.
Yeah, I think Baylor really needs to win this game, but I don't think they will. I think SMU is better than Auburn is, and I think that they'll come away with this pretty well. Our friends over at the military base keep flying over. We're getting military flyovers for our college football show. How about
Exactly.
that?
Nobody else has that.
Nobody else has that. College Game Day got it once.
Yeah.
We're getting it
Every
over and
15
over.
minutes.
Yeah.
Next game that I think is worth talking about is Virginia NC State. Again, just because it's a conference game, both these teams are teams that kind of unknowns, middle of the pack ACC teams. My gut says go with NC State. I like their quarterback. He's a young guy. He was a true freshman last year. First full season after their previous quarterback. He had a concussion and quit football altogether is the story that I heard. Again, go with NC State on this, but again, these are not two teams I follow super closely.
Yeah, I don't either, but I've got NC State as well.
Yeah, I think that's pretty fair. You want to talk Ole Miss, Kentucky?
Ole Miss, Kentucky. Ole Miss. Yeah.
Ole Miss as well.
Yeah. We're taking Clemson over Troy. We're taking Oregon over Oklahoma State, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100% of the time. I have Mizzou over Kansas. I don't think that's crazy.
It's at Mizzou. I think they get the slight edge. If Kansas always is good for one good win a year, I would. If they win this one,
Mizzou did pretty well last year, though.
Yeah.
I don't know how much they're returning, but Bowling Green at Cincinnati. Cincinnati ran it close. Was it last weekend? Cincinnati played last weekend. They won it they almost lost. They almost won against Nebraska last weekend. This is a game I really could have Cincinnati winning.
Who's it against? Bowling Green.
Bowling Green.
Oh yeah, I think Cincinnati at home against Bowling Green. I think I got Cincinnati as well.
I agree.
Yeah, for sure.
Florida at South Florida, we talked about this earlier. This should be an easy one for Florida. But South Florida can always come and surprise us.
Yeah.
They surprised us week 1.
Yeah.
Can come surprise us again.
Yeah. I think it'll really.
I would love to see them beat Florida.
Yeah. In
Mostly
the swamp,
because
that'd be so funny.
it'll be
It
insane.
would be so funny. Oh my goodness.
Florida was pretty strong this year.
Yeah.
I think the last one, or the last two to really talk about are these two. North Carolina, Charlotte. I don't know. I think North Carolina should be able to win this.
Yeah.
Will they? I don't know. I think it could be a tight game.
It's at Charlotte.
And the fact that's at Charlotte.
It's really weird.
I think North Carolina might lose this game.
There's definitely a chance. I think Belichick should be guaranteed out if they lose to Charlotte, because Charlotte didn't even beat App State last week. So I don't know. I think if you lose to Charlotte, then who else
You're
are
done.
you going to lose to? Yeah,
Stanford.
You're completely done. Yeah.
or Wake Forest.
Uh-huh.
Those are the only two games you can beat,
It'll
right?
just be
The whole
bottomless,
schedule.
Yeah.
And their schedule's full of bombs. You
Yeah.
know, and then Army at Kansas State. I have Army losing this to Kansas State.
Oh yeah. Especially after who beat Army last week?
It was
a
bad.
team. It was a team that I can't even remember the name of. I know they're purple. What? Tarleton State. Shout out Tarleton State. Y'all came away with the first FCS over FBS win of the season, and that was pretty cool.
It was a sad day for Army.
Yeah. Army in their weird ass renovated stadium.
I think the only other team we should talk about here is I think everybody needs to watch out for UCF in the coming weeks. They have their old head coach back. Right, hold on.
Yeah, that's the right week.
Tulane, South Alabama. Oh, Vanderbilt, Virginia Tech. I didn't even see this one. That could be a good game.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I didn't even realize that. I'd probably have Andy winning that though. Just because
Yeah.
of what we saw with Virginia Tech's red zone defense wasn't there.
Yeah.
But that could actually be a fun one to watch on the
Mhm.
ACC network.
Oh, I think.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah. I think the last one we talk about is Michigan, Oklahoma, because that's where the
Oh yeah, that's the big money maker.
that's where
right
College
there.
Game Day will be. They'll be in Norman, and I think it's so hard to choose because I've heard great things about Oklahoma in their off season. I think Michigan has a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes that I don't know if that's affecting them. It didn't affect them last year. They beat Ohio State with all that stuff going on, but then they've got a new quarterback. You know,
I've got Michigan. I do. I hate to say it because I'm not a Michigan guy. But I have Michigan beating Oklahoma State. Oklahoma and A&M are two teams that I feel consistently underperform. I think Michigan has the arsenal to do well.
yeah.
They didn't last year, but I think they probably go on the road and beat Oklahoma on this one.
I think that this is going to be the one game in week 2 that we disagree on. I think because most of the stuff we agreed on this
Yeah.
week, and I think a lot of weeks up ahead there'll be differences, and I think this is the only difference in ours because I think that because their quarterback's a true freshman at Michigan.
And it's a veteran at Oklahoma.
Yeah, and I just think I wish General Booty was still at Oklahoma. That would be great. But I think that this is going to be really his first test going into a place like Oklahoma. Oklahoma's going to feel the hype of this team that they've been talked about all season, and I think they come through slightly. I think maybe the home crowd does something.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, cool. That's really it we all have for this week.
Yep.
Remember, use code BlueChewBill at BlueChew.com when you go get your prescription. Every dollar you spend at Blue Chew using the code BlueChewBill, 10 cents of it goes straight to Jordan Hudson to get new. We can't use that, can we? We can't use that. I was going to say something, but we can't use that, can we?
She's gonna get a new ass. We'll just say that.
You all reread that?
No, we'll keep.
All right. Sounds
We'll
good.
keep it in.
Use code BlueChewBill at check out. Help Jordan and Hudson get a better ass.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for watching. Have a good night.